Okay, so we've gotten to our third episode of Money Love. I want to thank you for all the comments and the likes you gave us on our first two episodes. Remember, the idea with this show is to be able to take control of our money, to be able to save more and invest more. That's the purpose. In our first two episodes, we talked first about why we should start investing early. We also talked about how to actually create savings out of your income using the 50, 30, 20 space. Now, we'll answer some of the questions that came in based on what we said in our first two episodes as well. But I must remind you that this show is a partnership. Our partner is Frio. Frio is a brand new banking experience that aims to help you make the most of your money. Just like us, Frio wants you to be able to take control of your money so that you can make your money work for you. So let's get to some of the questions that came in on our first two episodes. One question came in from @Butterbeer. @Butterbeer says, as a part-time personal finance consultant, I love the first episode. Thank you. Especially the emergency fund bit. I love it too. The question is this: 20% savings bit includes loan servicing, but that's an EMI which is needs. So a little confused here. Now I must accept I did get a lot of questions about this, which is why I've picked this one particular question to answer. So when your EMI is towards your home loan, that's actually money that you're spending on the house that you live in, right? You could either be paying EMIs on your house or you could be paying rent on your house. But both of those things then qualify as a need because you have to pay that money in order to be able to live in your house. So your home loan specifically, and only your home loan, qualifies as a need. All of your other loans, whether it's a car loan or a personal loan or your credit card loan or any other loan that you might take, goes into the 20% category. So there is, remember, needs, wants, and then the 20% category. So only the EMI on your home loan qualifies as a need. Everything else has to be managed in the 20% category. We have another question from Aditi Trivedi. She has said, I'd really like to know what to do. I have a recurring income, but what about students who are, say, 18 to 22 years old? They earn randomly through internships and other things. Are there any things that they can do to manage, save, and invest in a more responsible way? That's a great question, Aditi. And this actually doesn't just apply to students. It also applies to people who work freelance, for example, who might not be getting like a monthly salary that is steady, but they get spurts of money that gets paid at different points of time. You can use a basic thumb rule, which is 10% of everything that you make gets put aside as a saving. So whatever comes at whatever size, if you get a payment, and sometimes freelancers, you know this, if you get a payment of like 20,000 bucks, 10% of that goes into your savings. And if you get a payment of 3 lakh rupees, and I hope you do, 10% of that goes into your savings as well. So basically you're putting aside, and as soon as the money comes in, you're almost deducting it at source. It goes into your savings and then you live off the rest of it. And this should be for students as well. Even if it's a small amount of money, the idea is to build a habit of saving more than anything else. And when you see that savings sort of plump up over a period of time and hit some round figures, it'll make you really, really happy. All right, let me get into what we're going to talk about this week, right? This week, we're going to talk about something that's really close to my heart: women and money. And this is important to all of us. So even the guys, it's going to be really important because it will impact you in some way, because it impacts the women in your life as well. Now, there is this horrible idea that women are not good with money, or they're spendthrifts and they shop a lot, or they don't know how to manage money. And that's really a result of not having enough role models. We don't celebrate fund managers or investors who are women who have done really well. And there are fund managers who are women and investors who are women who have done well, but we just don't tom-tom them enough. We don't talk about, women investing enough in front of children and small girls, for example. We don't talk to them about money enough. There's this whole idea that we shouldn't talk about money in front of our children. It actually then, keeps this really gray areas where kids become 21, when they become 25, suddenly they're expected to manage their money, which is difficult because you've never had that conversation with them, or you've never had that conversation in front of them. So it's really important to break that notion or that idea that women are bad at money, and I'll tell you why, because I, as always, have research to prove it. So there's been countless studies actually, and you can go onto the internet and find them yourself, but I picked a few. There's the Warwick Business School study, and they conducted a study of 2,800 men and women in the UK, gave them the same investment, the Barclays Smart Investor investment portfolio, and they tracked their performance over 3 years. Now, over those 3 years, not only did the women outperform the FTSE 100, which was the index that they were supposed to beat, they also outperformed with a sharp margin all the men. So basically, the women outperformed their benchmark by 1.94%, and they outperformed the men by 1.8%. And there's a study as to how they did better, why women are better investors than men in general. And here are the reasons. I'm not making this up. Here are the reasons. One, and this has been a study done by Harvard. There's a study done by Fidelity. They say that women are naturally more cautious when making these decisions. So they tend to research a lot more. They tend to think about it a lot more. And they make very calculated decisions when it comes to risk. And all investment has some form of risk or the other associated with it. So it's not like women don't take risks, but apparently they take very calculated, carefully considered risk. The second thing is that apparently women do not get impressed or swayed by hot tips of the stock market. Oh, you have to try this. Or they do not get swayed by peer pressure like their male counterparts. I am not making this up. Like their male counterparts, and women tend to apparently have longer term goals, so they invest for the longer term, and they're less likely to break the investment and take their money out for something short term. Now, we talked about this in the previous episode of why investing for the longer term means that you'll generally do better because you're not breaking that investment and taking the money out. It compounds over a longer period of time. So it actually proves that women are actually better investors than men because of these 3 or 4 things that they tend to always do. But we're not pushing that point. What I'm actually trying to simply do is this: to tell the women who are listening right now that if you for some reason believe that you're not good at money, or that you have a male family member who'd be better at the money than you are, then that is not true. You need to start taking control of your own finances. And there's something really important here to consider. When you manage your own money, when you have control over your own money, you have true independence. And for far too long, we've heard stories about women who've stayed in jobs that they didn't want to stay in, or they worked with bosses that they didn't want to work with, or they've stayed in relationships that were toxic or abusive because they didn't have control over the money that would allow them to walk away. So these really important decisions would be weighed down by financial considerations. But if you have control over your own money, and you know where your money is, and you know what you want to do with it, you will be able to make decisions without having to worry about the financial consequences. So that's the reason, first of all, that's the first reason why I believe that women should have control over their own money, so you can make whatever decision you need to make that's best for you without having to worry about where will the money come from. And we're already doing all of the jobs that men are doing, so it can't be that hard to also manage your own money. Now, here are 3 or 4 things that we put together to go through to be able to manage your money better. First of all, you have to have your own bank account. This is not a joint account with your spouse or a joint account with your parent or with your sibling, but your own bank account, which is only yours, which only you operate. And start putting money in that bank account, so you don't need anybody's permission to decide what to do with that money or how much money you're putting in that account, an account that is only yours. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is to understand your own assets. So for example, how many bank accounts do you have in your name right now? How much money is in your bank accounts? Is there an LIC policy someone bought for you? Do you have mutual funds? The house that you live in, if you happen to be married, is it registered in your name? Is it jointly registered in your name? What is the net asset value of your entire family, of your spouse included? What happens, what you leave your children if something happens to either you or your spouse? Is there life insurance? All of these things, you have to understand them. You have to know the passwords to all the accounts. You have to know where all of the assets are. And this has to be updated on an annual basis. So that means you have to know where all the money is. We talked last week about why you should start investing early. So I recommend that obviously women and men start investing as early as you can. But I also believe that you should take advice of the professionals. Now, there are great financial advisors in the market who will come home and they will help you understand, how the finances work. And they'll give you all the tools and the information you need in order to be able to make up your own mind. It's like this, okay? If you had to, say, redo or fix your car, or do your garden, or do some sort of heavy job, heavy lifting job that you don't want to do on your own, you would get a professional to do it. But you would supervise what that professional is doing. You would take a look at the plans, you would approve the plan, you would approve the spend, and you would keep an eye on how that is moving and the progress of it. That's exactly what you have to do with a professional. You get a financial advisor, you take time to understand all your options, you choose an option, you then monitor how this is going on a regular basis. And let me tell you, do not allow anybody to bully you into making a decision. Take as much time as you need to understand how each and every investment works, and then make your decision. As I've already proven, women tend to research everything before they make your decision. So do that if that makes you comfortable. But do not let anybody bully you into thinking that this is something that you will not understand. And finally, stay on top of your investments, which means regular conversations with your financial advisor to make sure that your investments are in the right place. If some of your goals have changed, and sometimes they do, that you're making adequate modifications. If the stock market is moving in a certain way and you need to make some changes, then you're keeping an eye on that. And of course, like it's always important, keep an eye on the interest rates you're getting, keep an eye on the interest rates that you're paying on your loans, and make all of those changes, right? So in order to do that, you have to meet with your financial advisor on a regular basis to make those changes. So to go over the things that we talked about on how to be in control of your money at all points, have a bank account that is entirely yours, that you don't have to ask anybody's permission to operate and to use. Understand all of the assets in your name and in your family's name. Understand the entire net worth of your family and what is due to you or your children in case something happens to your partner. Make sure that the assets that are important, the ones that you have contributed to. So if you've contributed to your home, for example, you contributed to another asset, make sure that that asset is registered in your name. And of course, understand Stridhan. In India, we have a law called Stridhan, which is all of the gifts in jewelry or in money that is given to you at your wedding is entirely yours at all points. So understand how Stridhan works as well. Remember to take advice of a professional and rely on good professionals in order to invest your money, and meet your professional on a regular basis so that you can get regular updates on how your money is moving and you can make the right decisions. So that's what we have so far. Now, next week is a big week where we're going to talk about the different types of investments, how to choose which one works for you, and how to get started to become rich over the long term. And before I let you go, let me remind you one more time that this is a partnership with Frio, which is a brand new banking experience with the aim to help you make the most out of your money and take control of your money. If you have questions about anything we talked about, do leave us a note in the comment section. Otherwise, leave us a thumbs up if this is something that you found useful. Share it with all of the women in your life. It doesn't matter at what age. Push them to start investing. And I personally believe that women are excellent investors because our grandmothers, for example, would hide money, right, in the atta dabba. They would hide money under the newspaper in their Godrej cupboards. There would always be money stashed aside. So women are excellent savers. They've always been excellent savers, specifically Indian women. Now it's that time to take that leap and start becoming excellent investors as well. So remember, if you love your money will love you back.